conference is hugely important because what you have there is a bunch of very powerful people.
To have 250 of the most senior leaders of Irish business in one place.
The decisions they make affect millions of people.
Organizations are probably the most powerful force on our planet, and how we run them matters.
I think in terms of thought leadership, it's very important that we get together to talk about what's happening in the digital age.
An event like this with business leaders helps spread the word for what is a preventable risk in many ways.
I think the advantage of the National Management Conference is it gives really busy people a chance to take a step back from the day job and get a little headspace and reflect for a little while. Listen to world-class thought leaders and really take stock of where their organisation is and where it's going, because so much of the time we get stuck in the day-to-day of managing and leading, whereas you come to a conference like this and you can look to the future a little more.
We cannot solve the systemic problems we have with democracy, with inequality, with climate change without the business world.
5 years' time, the number of jobs that we currently see in the market, 50% of them will actually be obsolete. So the opportunity is really to get ahead of ourselves, see what opportunities new technology is providing and taking advantage of them.
The way we organize today is a top-down management hierarchy. Most organizations on the planet have power centralized in a CEO and then broken down a hierarchy. And there's a command and control approach to structure with that worked great last century. But the world has changed so much since then, right? The pace of change has never been as fast as it is now and will never actually be this slow again. It's only accelerating, and the responsiveness that this is demanding from our organizations is huge. The complexity our organizations face is huge. And I don't think that structure is going to work for the next century like it did for the last. So I'd like to see more peer-to-peer distributed self-organizing methods that are more able to adapt to complexity, that are more able to respond in this kind of internet era world.
Well, particularly from the cyber side, we're combining a number of different tools, technology, analytics, so that we can provide better data back to our clients. So we insure over 25,000 companies for their cyber risk, and if we can identify or see that part of our network is actually being attacked by a particular vulnerability, how quickly can we get that information out? How quickly can we help block some of those attempts? So if we can actually give them a piece of technology that sits out in front of their firewall, that we're updating every minute of every day with the latest sort of bad IP addresses, we can help a lot of those attacks either trying to get in or employees trying to click on the links, because employees can often be the weakest link. So can we assist that with training? Can we assist it with technology? Can we increase that with analytics to say, if you're doing these things from a technology perspective, you'll have a lower probability of having a cyber incident?
So I'm a hacker. I'm not a technical hacker. I use psychology. I use the best computers in the world, which is the one between our two ears, to get into businesses at their request, I might say, and show them where the security vulnerabilities are from a non-technical perspective. And that helps protect people ultimately from the bad guys who would do that in a malicious way. So what I do is I replicate a criminal attack, take a note of how we got past, whether that's using fear or flattery or greed, whatever we need to use to get past and into people. And then what we do is we report back and educate the business as to how we did it.
We tend to think of terrorism in terms of Islamism at the moment, but actually you've got in the US, for instance, about half of terrorism is far-right related. As things get more and more populist, that's likely to come up. As we heard from the last speaker, the futurologist, as we go through the chaos of changing into the fourth industrial revolution, we're going to see some fairly major changes, lots of people being laid off, and that is liable to find its way into, on the extreme end, more terrorism. So we need to look at mitigation strategies. And again, training people, just to have it in the back of their mind. It's not out there, it's here, close by.
So for businesses of all sizes, these are criminals that are attacking you. So obviously what they're after primarily is financial rewards. And so accounts desks, help desks, invoicing, anything that can be used to transfer money or to get funds moved from one place to another is a huge area of risk of businesses of all sizes. But of course with GDPR and all that type of thing coming up, there's also information and data that criminals are after as well, because again, that's available for sale all over the web.
We have lots of behavioral scientific metrics, things that measure people in a real world context. But if we're looking at a problem set like trying to identify insider threat, what we really need are metrics that not only measure who people are and what their motivation might be in a real world context, we need to know who they are in cyber context. And effectively, in that way, companies will be best prepared to actually address critical risks such as insider threat.
Mostly it's about the values in business that need to change. The idea that your sole responsibility is to make profits and that your contribution to society is to pay your taxes, which you generally try and avoid, is not good enough. We're moving from a world which was economies of scale to a world of economies of distribution. We're increasingly connected, and it requires all of us, particularly leaders in business, to stand up and start to take inequality, climate change, systems thinking very, very seriously, because the economy is a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment, and the environment at the moment, both politically, in terms of the natural environment and in terms of our political environment, is very toxic at the moment.
Innovations for the future aren't at the core of your current business, they're somewhere around the edges of it. So I think growth isn't sector driven, I think growth is driven by culture and the extent to which you're able to look on the outside in of your existing business and see opportunities as they come along. I think all industries have scope for growth. It depends on your mindset, it depends on your culture, and the fact that that's baked into your strategy.
So as a former CEO, I get asked the question a lot, are you ready to let go of that control? What about other leaders? But the thing is, I don't feel like I have less control now. I have more. It's not about stripping power away from the people at the top. It's about raising power up from everyone else. So I can still influence my system. I can still get whatever new strategies I need enacted. In fact, it's easier when I have the kind of clarity that Holacracy provides. It makes it really clear who's going to do what, who makes which decisions, what's expected of everyone. That's all real clear. It's just everyone else is helping generate that clarity. It's not just all on me to figure all that out. It's everyone contributing, including me.
Well, renewable energy is massive. I mean, it's unstoppable now. Fossil fuels are over in the next 30 or 40 years. So renewables is going to be absolutely enormous. Artificial intelligence is going to be very big. But really the economy is going to be built on jobs based around the things the machines can't do. The human economy, the things we're going to do are going to be jobs of systems thinking, caring, empathy, teaching, philosophy, creation, art, all the things machines will never be able to do because they're not conscious human beings who are not asking moral questions. But the jobs of the future will be based around the things that we all care about when we get out of work at the moment.
For all the changes that technology brings, for managers, the paradox is actually being more human is what's important. And we're talking about, therefore, managers being more like a coach, having deeper skills around enabling people, facilitation, empathy, providing emotional support. So it's not just about the technology, it's being more human.